The Appalachian Mountains, with their majestic forests and mountain streams, always attracted travelers with their beauty and mystery. A group of friends decided to embark on a short hike along the famous trail known as the Dark Path. This route promised breathtaking views and unforgettable adventures. None of them suspected that soon they would encounter unprecedented horrors that would change their lives forever. At first, everything seemed perfect. The sun was shining brightly, birds were singing their melodies, and the group set off with optimism. The forest was framed in golden hues, and the trail seemed well explored and safe. However, as they ventured further, the surrounding landscapes became increasingly strange. Trees began to change shapes, trunks and branches twisted as if reaching out to them, as if they wanted to convey something. Entwining, they formed strange symbols, unfamiliar signs. The air grew dense and palpable, as if something mysterious was penetrating the very essence of this place. The travelers exchanged uneasy glances but decided not to stop. As the group progressed, the picturesque streams began to darken and become polluted. Fish died, and the cries of birds fell silent. Only the rustling and moaning of trees were distinctly audible, seemingly groaning from invisible suffering. The rustle of leaves turned into whispers, and the travelers began to feel an unsettling presence. One day, as the sun had already disappeared behind the horizon, they realized they had lost their way. The compass futilely spun around its axis, and the stars in the sky seemed alien and menacing. They quickly realized they were surrounded by something strange and hostile and attempted to retrace their steps. But the path they had taken disappeared, as if their footsteps had never marked the ground. With each passing hour, nature became more sinister. Trees intertwined to form impenetrable walls, making it impossible to pass through. Mountain streams began to flow upwards, defying the very laws of physics. Monstrous cries accompanied the travelers, and every rustle in the bushes sent shivers down their spines. They realized they had entered a place where entirely different laws of nature applied. Time and space became unstable, and they could no longer distinguish between day and night. Hunger and fatigue slowly drained their strength, while fear penetrated deep into their hearts. Each of them saw ghosts and shadows that sowed doubt and discord within the group. With fear and desperation as their constant companions, the group of travelers realized that survival required them to unite their efforts and find a way out of this nightmare reality. Night after night, they battled invisible forces, forging paths through the distorted forest and combating their own fears. One day, in the depths of despair, they stumbled upon a place of power, a place where the land seemed less distorted. Here, they gathered around a fire, attempting to find a way to escape this nightmare. One of them recalled a story from ancient myths about a way to reverse time and overcome the dark forces. The forces were strong, but the travelers' faith and hope proved stronger. They began a ritual, following ancient rites that seemed meaningless and archaic to them. And yet, something started to change in the surrounding world. Trees ceased their moaning, and streams began to flow downward. With each passing minute of the ritual, the travelers felt the dark forces receding, the land returning to its usual form. And finally, when the ritual was complete, they found themselves on the trail, the very one they had known. Their strength was depleted, their souls tormented, but they had escaped the nightmare. Looking at each other, they realized that nothing would ever be the same. They had survived horrors that usually existed only in nightmares, but now they were part of their reality. Many years later, these travelers could never forget what had happened on the dark path. Their story became a legend, shared by campfires with other adventurers. They understood that in this world, there was much more than just beautiful landscapes and breathtaking views. There was a dark side of nature that could engulf even the bravest and most daring. On an unexplored horizon of the ocean lay a tropical island, shrouded in enticing mystery and exotic charm. The turquoise waters framed its shores, embracing the island with care. This natural paradise remained inaccessible to many, its treasures eagerly awaiting explorers in due time. However, such a fate awaited a young family, David, Emily, and their 10-year-old daughter Sophia. Deciding to escape the hustle and bustle of city life, they embarked on an unforgettable journey, seeking family happiness and adventure. They rented a small house by the beach, where they witnessed sunsets, adorned with woven garlands, and listened to the songs of exotic birds. The initial days were filled with joy and tranquility. The family gazed at the starry sky, laughed together in the evenings, and swam in the ocean. However, over time, they began to notice something strange, unfamiliar tracks in the sand and rustling shadows among the palm trees. "Are you taking those local legends too seriously, David?" Emily chuckled one day when they heard mysterious sounds from deep within the forest. "Maybe, but it's all part of the local atmosphere," David replied, attempting to quell the nervousness that was creeping up on him. Though anxious, Sophia tried to convince herself that the strange sounds were caused by harmless animals. But one day, upon returning home, she discovered her favorite doll had moved to the other side of the room in an uncanny way. "Mama, Papa, it wasn't me," Sophia cried, pointing at the doll as if it had come to life. Emily and David comforted their daughter, trying to soothe her, yet their own unease was growing. Oddities continued to pile up, missing belongings, inexplicable noises at night, and even mysterious tracks in the sand, as if someone had been watching them. One evening, as darkness fell upon the island, their house was consumed by a cold wind, as if the breath of ancient spirits. The family's eyes darted nervously around the room, expecting something dreadful to emerge from the shadows. "We're not alone here, are we?" Emily whispered, holding Sophia close. "Maybe it is just the locals keeping an eye on us," David attempted to reassure, but even his voice lacked certainty. The night dragged on slowly, each minute feeling like a binding thread in a complex tapestry of fear. Shadows moved and shifted mysteriously, and the cold wind howled, as if trying to communicate something. By morning, the family gathered to discuss their next steps. As they talked, Sophia suddenly looked out the window and screamed, pointing at a palm tree where a strange object swayed in the wind. "Look, what is that?" Sophia exclaimed, her eyes welling up with tears. David approached the window and squinted. It was an ancient amulet, intricately carved with symbols he couldn't quite decipher. He picked it up and felt an icy sensation run down his spine. Perhaps it has something local, Emily wondered, eyeing the amulet with puzzlement. But as Sophia came closer, she suddenly began to cry and whisper unfamiliar words. Her voice grew louder and distorted, as if something ancient and ominous had awakened within her. "Sophia, what is happening to you?" Emily cried, trying to pull her daughter out of this eerie trance. However, Sophia continued to whisper, and unintelligible words spilled from her mouth in an unfamiliar language. The air grew charged with tension, as if something powerful and uncontrollable was straining to break free. And suddenly, a cold mist enveloped the entire house, from which emerged shadows, ancient beings and spirits taking form. Emily and David tried to shield Sophia, but even their strength seemed feeble against these dark forces. "We have been freed," echoed one of the spirits, its voice like the whisper of ages. The family realized that they had broken a curse tied to the island, releasing ancient entities. The night turned into a nightmare, and they understood that only by working together could they reverse this curse. Sophia, still under the influence of the spirits, began to provide them with guidance on how to restore everything. The family embarked on a journey through the island's dark paths, uncovering secrets that had been hidden for centuries. The journey was perilous and terrifying, each step revealing new horrifying visions and encountering long-forgotten horrors. They discovered a sanctuary, with an altar surrounded by stones etched with symbols. There, guided by the spirits, Sophia uttered ancient words, and suddenly darkness shrouded the island as if it was a never-ending night. With their strength nearly spent, the family returned to their home. They sat in a circle and began to whisper prayers, beseeching the spirits to restore the balance between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Since then, Emily, David, and Sophia remained as the island's guardians, preserving its secrets and dark paths. Their adventure taught them respect for ancient forces and caution when encountering the unknown. For an island is not just beaches and palm trees, it also contains darkness that can await deep within its soul. Suddenly, the cold wind transformed into a warm, gentle breeze, and the shadows began to dissipate, as if melting into dreams. The night turned calm, and morning greeted them warmly. The family realized they had experienced the wrath of ancient forces, awakened by the touch of human contact. The island was no longer foreboding, it was simply an island, alive with its own essence, existing in equilibrium. On the horizon, the black outlines of an abandoned psychiatric hospital loomed. A group of friends, Sam, Amy, Jake, and Lisa, stared with fascination at its eerie architecture. Even in the bright daylight, the building seemed engulfed in darkness. Stories about the psychiatric hospital had circulated among the locals for decades, making people pray they would never come here. "Hey, guys, are you sure we need to do this?" Jake asked, sensing something amiss. "Yes, of course," Lisa replied. "It has just an abandoned building. Whereas your courage." Sam picked up a flashlight and directed its beam toward the massive gates. "Remember, the most important thing is not to be afraid. We were just exploring the place and we'll go back home." With burning interest and nervous smiles, the friends ventured inside. As they walked through long corridors, they felt the suffocating air and the lurking presence of something ominous. Somewhere in a corner of the room, they found a suspicious-looking artifact, an ancient figurine made of black stone. Jake accidentally dropped it, and it shattered into several pieces. At that moment, something seemed to freeze in the air. "Oh, damn, what was that?" Amy exclaimed, trembling. Immediately after the artifact was broken, the room filled with cold, as if winter had settled inside. Shadows began to move slowly along the walls, as if coming to life. From somewhere, a distant whisper emerged, a whisper the friends had only heard in their nightmares. As they moved further, their fears and nightmares began to seep into their reality. Sam saw bloody trails on the floor that weren't there. Lisa heard whispers even when no one spoke, and Jake started seeing his friends as horrifying monsters. The friends increasingly struggled with their inner demons and with each other. The evil trapped within the shattered artifact began to slowly manipulate their minds, igniting fears and driving them apart. "Listen, what is happening? We have to find a way to get rid of this," Sam exclaimed, his voice tense. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't find a way out. Lisa began to think she was having nightmares even while awake, and Amy sank deeper into illusions, unable to distinguish reality from fiction. The friends had to resist their nightmares and fears to reach the source of the curse. They deciphered the ancient text left on the remnants of the artifact and realized that to break the curse, they had to confront their deepest fears face to face. They gathered in the center of the room where the shattered figurine lay. Suddenly, the artifact began to piece itself back together, as if gathering its strength. The shadows grew denser, the whispers louder, and the atmosphere more aggressive. With each terrifying vision and confrontation, the friends grew stronger. They learned to confront their fears and doubts. Through tears and panic, Lisa faced her fear of loneliness. Jake dealt with the monsters that had taken over his mind. Amy began to differentiate between reality and illusions, and Sam found the strength to confront his darken. Gathering their strength and sharing support, the friends used their power and determination to shatter the artifact and free themselves from its curse. As the last piece of the artifact broke, the room lit up, the shadows vanished, and the ominous whispers fell silent. The friends breathed a sigh of relief, realizing they had defeated the evil that had sought to destroy their friendship and themselves. Throughout the ordeal, they had found strength in each other and within themselves. Through the broken walls of the psychiatric hospital, they returned to the realm of reality, having traversed a nightmare that had forever changed them. But they understood that even in the darkest corners of the world and in their own minds, there is a power to resist evil if they believe in themselves and stand together.